Today we're going to be replacing the turn signal LEDs on an Apollo City. The tools you'll need to complete this repair are a Phillips head screwdriver, a precision Phillips head screwdriver, 4mm Allen key, 2.5mm Allen key, flush cutters, and electrical tape. Before we flip the scooter over to get access to the interior cavity, to make this a lot easier, we're first going to peel back this grip tape. And we're going to remove this plate here and this hook. So using our 2.5mm Allen key, so remove this last one, the hook. This will come off. And I should be able to just peel this. And this cavity here we'll need access to later on. In order to replace the turn signal LED on the Apollo City, first thing we need to do is open up the deck and remove the battery to get better access to the cables. So the first thing I'm going to do is take my 4mm Allen key, remove the kickstand and this bottom cover. This should pop right up once all the screws are loose. I'm going to pop up the screws I couldn't grab when I was uninstalling them. We're gained access to the next level. Now I'm going to take some flush cutters, cut this heat shrink or electrical tape that is securing the charge port. This will allow us to disconnect it and completely remove this bottom deck plate from our work area, giving us a bit more room. Now I'm going to continue with the 4mm Allen key, uninstalling the screws on this plate. Now I can remove the plate, put that aside as well. Now we can see the inside. I'm going to disconnect the connection between the battery and the controller, cut the electrical tape or heat shrink. A new scooter should have heat shrink, however, if it's been worked on before, there is a chance it will be electrical tape. And simply unplug. Now I need to remove the screws or bolts securing the battery to the deck. So depending on the age of your scooter, this is either going to be a Phillips head screwdriver or a 4mm Allen key. In my case, it's the 4mm Allen key. And I'm not bringing up the screw completely with my hand because it's very tight in there. I'm just loosening it, and then I'm going to pull the battery up and the screws will come with it. So now I'm going to pull this brake line, give it a bit more slack, and I can pull the battery. You can see the screws in the back there. Perfect. Now when we look inside the deck, we'll see a bundle of cables. Two of these cables are the LED turn signals, one for each side, obviously. So now using my 2.5mm Allen key, I'm going to uninstall this orange piece which houses the LED. The cable from the LED coming through and into the deck. So now I will need a Phillips head screwdriver in order to separate the actual LED from this orange housing. So now I'm going to use a small Phillips head screwdriver to install these two tiny black screws, keeping this assembly together. Now this should pop open. You can see this piece right here is the LEDs. You can see it's not just one LED bulb. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 bulbs all in the housing, and it's this whole metal piece here. Let that rest. Now I can separate this back plate. So now I have this LED loose on the side. I'm going to give the cable, not the actual metal piece, but the cable a tug and identify which one of these cables of this bunch does this belong to. And from the slack, I can see that it is this one. I can confirm by just sort of pulling back and forth and knowing that, just by feel, that they're connected. Now I'm going to remove this tape holding this bunch of cables together. And I'm simply going to follow this cable through this rat's nest of wires and find where it is plugged into the controller. So it is right here. It's the one we're looking for. So I will need to take my flush cutters, cut the heat shrink, disconnect that. If you need to, you can cut the zip ties holding these cables in a bunch. However, I'm trying not to because it helps make things easier to put back together at the end. So now we have this cable completely free, and all I need to do is pull it out. There is a gasket in the back here that will require you to actually push it and not just pull. And there, now we have the old LED. I'm going to take my LED, I'm going to stick the connector right through. Don't need to stick a lot through yet. Now from the bottom, I'm going to reach in, grab the connector. So now I have the LED through the first part. With my pinky, I'm pointing at the gasket. We need to push the connector here through that. Now I'm going to go to the top and I'm going to pull it and connect it to the controller. I'm going to reassemble the housing for the LED. Easiest way to tell left and right on these LEDs is the L, the right side will have the R. This back plate also has an L, the right side will obviously have an R. These just fit right in here. The orange cover goes on top. Fits together. I'm gonna take my two small screws and my small Phillips head. Perfect. So now we have one piece. I'm going to pull this to the edge, connecting it to where I unplugged the original LED, plugging it in with all of our connectors. We like to add electrical tape or heat shrink to make sure the connection stays strong and that we're locking moisture out. And just like that. Now the next thing I'm going to do, I need to re-tape all these wires here together in a bundle. Now the trick here is we don't want the bundle to be round, creating a thicker diameter like this. We want it to be as flat as possible. So we want 4 lined up in a row, and then we're going to push that against the side of the scooter. So again, with electrical tape, originally it's some type of packing tape that does this. It's not that important what type of tape you use. I have electrical tape here, so that's what I'm using. What matters is that the cables are together, flat, and uniform. as I mentioned with these cables on the side, I'm going to make sure they're as tucked away as possible. And there we go. The next step will be to line the battery up with the holes that the screws go into to secure it. This is pretty simple. It's just a matter of pushing it back and forth until it lines up correctly. I still have the screws in the post for the battery, so I've lined it up correctly. I can feel it threading in. Make sure you don't over tighten these bolts securing the battery, because if you torque them too hard, it can create bumps on the deck of the scooter. The metal plate between the top and this cavity here is a little bit thin. So now our battery's in the cavity, it's secure. We can reconnect the main power. This should also be covered with electrical tape, or of course, heat shrink if you have it is a little bit better, but if you're someone doing a repair at home, you probably don't have heat shrink. So I'm just going to do that, keep the moisture out, keep the connector secure. I have this gasket here that goes into this slot for the charging port cable. So I'm going to line it up and just push it in. So now I have the deck plate. I'm ready to put it back. There is a certain way in which it goes. All these holes should line up. If you have it the wrong way, they will not line up exactly. So it's impossible to put it in incorrectly. So when I am installing the screws back to secure this plate, we're not putting a screw in every single hole. These threaded holes are shared with the outer plate. So you can kind of see, most likely your plate has some wear patterns along, but basically we're going on each side 1, skip 1, 2, skip 1, 3, skip 1, 4 on both sides. This inner cavity here where the battery and controller are is obviously the key piece of the scooter we're trying to keep water out of. And one of the best features of the City is its water resistance, its IP66 rating. So we want to make sure we're keeping that intact by creating a very strong seal. So now we're okay to put our outer plate back on. First thing we're going to do is connect the charging port, and just like the main connection between the controller and the battery, I'm just going to tape it up. Please use heat shrink if you have access and are able to use heat shrink, but electrical tape will do the job just fine. Put the plate on. It may be a little misshapen, but once we put all the screws back in, it should be just fine. So we're going to start with installing the kickstand. With the kickstand, you don't want to tighten the first screw all the way because you might need to play with the angle a little bit. All the screws from the top, the bottom plate, and the kickstand are all the same, so you don't need to worry about keeping them consistent. Now our last step is just closing up the deck. Again, still using our 4mm Allen key. We want to make sure the body from the top is sort of all aligned and straight. There's no bumps. If there is a bump, just need to give it some good loving and push it back into place. Now we're going to put the cover back over this cavity. Now this hook, kind of similar to the kickstand. I'm not going to tighten one of them all the way, just in case I need to wiggle the other one to get it right in position. And our final step is to secure the LED assembly into the frame of the scooter with our 2.5mm Allen key. And that's how we replace the turn signal LEDs on an Apollo City.